And what is going on, everyone? And welcome to a special edition of Houston Texans football. I am so excited for this one. I am joined by Houston Texans credentialed media member, Mr. John Hickman. You could find him and Big Sarge, the man with the big hat and even the bigger smile on Locked On Texans. I tune in almost every single day. John, thank you so much for coming on this show.
Thank you for having me. I can't wait to talk Texans. Houston won what I called a very unnecessarily close game on Sunday against the Jacksonville Jaguars, division game. But I thought that was going to be one of those moments where they'll pull away. It was too close for my liking. But 8-5 now. They give themselves a good victory heading into the bye week.
No, absolutely. And it was something that we talked about on, the Locked On Text, which is get to the bye week. We've been playing football for such a long time. The Houston Texans defeat Jacksonville 23. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all are enjoying your Victory Monday. This episode is brought to you and powered by BetUS. They're giving you a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. On your second and third deposit, it is a 125% bonus. Promo code YouTube150 gets you the deal. Quick 24-hour payouts, 24-hour customer service. BetUS, ladies and gentlemen, where the game begins. 220, Mac Jones, he came in and lit this defense up. Before we get into that, obviously the big moment in the game, Houston Texans linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair, big hit on quarterback Trevor Lawrence. T-Law, fortunately, out for the game. Big fight happens on the sideline. We haven't seen an altercation like this since the one against Tennessee and Cortland Finnegan. Flagstone everywhere. Azeez ejected. Crazy moment yesterday, man. And crazy seeing the reaction on social media from former players, from coaches about this big hit by Azeez.
I think how we view it now for a lot of people is difficult because you're going to get the people that view it, react, and respond to it in 2024. And when I say that, I mean 2024 NFL, the brand of football that the NFL has right now is completely different, even just from 10 years ago, in the 2010s. And so a lot of people have to look at it and judge it how the rules are now. And then you have a lot of us that feel like, okay, we grew up watching a different brand of football. And it's still kind of hard for us to separate the two. Now, for me, and like I said on Locked On Texans podcast on our Monday show, I think the hit from Azeez, I think he meant to hit him. I don't think he meant for the hit to be dirty. And these quarterbacks really have to help themselves out. Tom Brady said this a while back, and I think he's laid it out perfectly. We expect for the teams and the coaching staff to protect the players, but the players also have to protect themselves. And I don't think that when I watched that, why I don't think it was ill intent or malicious from Azeez. We've seen quarterbacks as of late fake slide or man,
Jog to the sideline and try to make something happen.
We've seen Pat Mahomes do it. I think the perfect example we can give, because Pat Mahomes went to the sideline, but Kenny Pickett a couple of years ago in college at Pitt,
did the
fake slide. And so for a defensive player, my money is made from stopping you from scoring and picking up first downs. That's how I make my money. And so I like to say, I don't think it was with ill intent. I don't think his purpose was to late hit him on purpose. I don't think he was a dirty player or a dirty hit. I think it's football, and I think that while I do believe, he was intending to hit him, not to knock him out the game, not to late hit him. And I think Trevor Lawrence and quarterbacks in general do have to do a better job in protecting themselves, knowing when to let up in terms of, okay, maybe I can fake let up and then get a couple of extra yards. You're going to hurt yourself at some point doing that.
No, and that's a valid point that you bring up. That's why there was so much discourse whether or not, T-Law put himself in that situation. When you do look at it, Azeez Al-Shaair, it's not helmet to helmet, right? Puts his forearm directly into his chest, just blasts him, like you mentioned, a vicious hit. Head bounces on the turf. Just a crazy scene. I don't blame the Jaguars for trying to defend Trevor Lawrence and, trying to fight Azeez. That's going to happen, right, when a quarterback gets hurt. Do I think a suspension's coming? Maybe. Maybe. I think with the reaction from the NFL media on the outside, I think maybe the NFL is going to give him a couple of games off. I do not think he needs to be, kicked out of the league like some people are, trying to get clicks and saying. I do agree with you and John and Big Sarge. I don't think Aziz Al-Shaair is a dirty player, just one of the most physical players we have in this league.
I do want to say, listen, man, saying that he should be out of the league for a football act when we have players who came back from just to keep it clean, things outside of football
Mm-hmm.
that in any other occupation you will spend some time away in a cell out of the league. So the overreaction, the problem that I have with the overreaction is, hey man, listen, you know what you signed up for.
Mm.
This is football, and until the NFL becomes 7-on-7, until we get there, getting hit is a part of the game. Getting
Mm.
hit is a part of the sport. And again, I don't believe Aziz is a dirty player. He's passionate. He's a defender. And you got to look a lot into his background and how he came up. But he
Mm-hmm.
also issued a apology
He did.
Monday. So to say be out of the league when I saw, I don't even want to say his name, but the Kansas City Chiefs allow a player to come back and play football after some things.
Yes.
That I think is irresponsible. It's very, too much of an overreaction.
Mm-hmm.
And I also kind of judge that person that will say something like that and wonder, what was your view on that player before this incident? Was
Mm.
it already skewed in a different direction? Was that direction negative? Because if that's how you want to jump out and say out of the league, yeah, that's too much, and I don't feel like that opinion is warranted from somebody that could just be looking at disease and thinking to themselves, he's already a dirty player. I'm already done with him. When that's
Mm-hmm.
not the case.
No, I 100% agree with you. Wanted to get your thoughts on the Jaguars' decision to put Trevor Lawrence out there. It's something we talked about on the show is, you're trying to be petty, trying to maybe potentially ruin the Houston Texans season in Jacksonville, and now you put your quarterback at risk who you just paid in the offseason. I just did not think this was a smart move at all by the Jacksonville Jaguars organization.
I think maybe Trevor just wanted to play.
But you got to be like, come on, dude. Like the season's done. You're claiming that you're hurt, your toe, your shoulder, and you're going up against a team that just sacked Will Levis 8 times last week.
Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
some of our greatest quarterbacks we've seen, no matter what,
Facts.
they want to be out on the field. And the quarterback position is always going to be the position that leads the team.
Mm.
So if you can play, you're going to play. That's just my thoughts on it. I don't think I think for Trevor, it was I
Mm.
want to finish the season. You guys just paid me. The
Mm.
season ain't going how we thought it would go. We may not have a coach soon. You guys brought me in Brian Thomas. I want to make sure I continue to build that chemistry because he's going to be a very important part of our team moving forward. And any success we can have, I want to finish out this season so I can make sure my guys know, hey, Trevor gonna ride for me, and I can ride for him. In case in point, Trevor got hit. You saw what happened. Hey, get off my quarterback
Mm-hmm.
from the entire Jacksonville players in their roster. So I think it may be more so if Trevor Lawrence just saying I
Mm.
got to be out there with my guys, and I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. And just to add to your case, last year he was hurt and banged up, but still wanted to be out there. The Jaguars had to pull him off there. So yeah, maybe T-Law did wanted to be out there and go to war with those boys. It's just a tough situation, man. After seeing that, CJ Stroud, this Houston Texan offense, Mr. John Hickman, did something very uncharacteristic, and
But he
that
scored in
was
the second half
I mean, when I saw the
twice.
first touch twice and a field, I'm dude. Now, am I completely bought in? No, but these were the baby steps in the right direction to hopefully get this offense on track with the bye week with the Dolphins, Chiefs, and Ravens coming up. There's still a lot of football left. I was encouraged by what I saw from the second half offense from my quarterback, CJ Stroud, also.
Yeah, so the one thing that I really enjoyed watching yesterday was just the offense having the defense back. One score game, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many one score games have been determined this year on, due to the strength of the defense, just continually making plays.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, the defense, had a rough outing. They allowed Mac Jones to have a good day, 2
Mm-hmm.
TDs, over 200 yards. I think the Jags threw for 280. Only 41 came from Trevor Lawrence. So you look at, nearly
Yeah,
240 yards from Mac Jones. He hadn't done that in a while. 2 TDs. He had a second half that was, almost won a game for the Jags. And so the defense had a rough day. No pressure from the front four. We have never seen that this year.
Mm-mm.
No Will, no Daniil, no Tim Settle. And so as Aziz go down, you're looking at a back end of that defense that's struggling a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the offense goes out there, Joe Mixon scores. Give a lot of credit to the offensive line. Those guys, really rebounded and bounced back and had a very good second half. CJ Stroud scores. Finds Dalton Schultz, which is a
Mm-hmm.
name that a lot of people, where's Dalton Schultz? Where's Dalton Schultz? And
Yep.
so
I'm one of
it,
them.
it was, yeah. It was good to see the offense have the defense back. And it was good to see them build on some things that they haven't been able to build off on going into the bye week as they prepare for that brutal stretch, Miami, Kansas City,
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore. Because for Houston, I think if I'm a coach this week, while I do have you guys, and then after Wednesday, I believe, after Tuesday, they go on their little mini
Mm-hmm.
vacation. Look, guys, we can score the second half. Look what we were doing to negate the defense. Look how we were able to play. Let's build and stack those moments, which is a message DeMeco Ryans on down has been preaching all offseason. Stack good days, stack good practices, stack good halves, stack good games. And for Houston, they have yet to be able to stack good games.
Mm.
Good half here, good half there. And so I think that was a good thing for him to leave off on getting the win against Jacksonville.
No, 100%. I agree. When you go back and look at the Shannon Sharp podcast with DeMeco Ryans, he said our goal is to get better 1% every single day. And then when we look up from our hard work, we see exactly where we are. Um, Joe Mixon, where would this Houston Texans team be without him? Absolutely deserves the captain
He
patch
deserves
on his chest. 101 yards on the ground, 5.1 yards of carry, one touchdown, a big 30-yard gain to set up his TD. Joe Mixon is the game-changing running back that this Houston Texan offense needed. And he brings an attitude to this offense, I'm not going to give up attitude. I love what 28 brings to this offense to this team.
Have you ever had an event and everybody has a role? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to be on the music. She's cooking. Okay,
Mm.
you're bringing the drinks. Everybody has a role, right? But let's just say that one person that's been assigned the big role, they don't show up.
Oh,
Where's the party?
gone. Over, but over within an hour.
What's the one thing that you for sure need with your family and friends at a party? What's the one thing you guys need absolutely every time?
Music and alcohol.
Music and alcohol. Let's just say uh, for a lot this year, Joe Mixon has been both the music and the alcohol,
Yeah.
right? Because music to your ears, oh, Joe Mixon just scored. The alcohol, man, we can drink because we won the game because Joe
Woo!
Mixon ran it down there and did what we have to do when our quarterback hasn't been able to do it. So that's what Joe Mixon has been to this offense. He's been the music, he's been the alcohol, he's been everything for this offense at times when there was no Nico Collins, when there,
Mm-hmm.
no Stephon Diggs when he goes down, and CJ is struggling. The Houston Texans didn't win a lot of games, but the impact of Joe Mixon dating back to week one against the Colts, he ran wild,
Mm-hmm.
right? When he's on the field, when he's healthy, he's a game changer for the Houston Texans. And what he does, he allows this team to really operate a little bit differently in the play action game.
Mm.
Because no matter what, you don't have to respect Damian Pierce back there. You don't have to respect Dare. As a matter of fact, when was the last time we saw Damian Pierce have a good carry?
Mm.
Didn't get a carry on Sunday. But when Joe Mixon is back there, you got to respect it. And that allows Houston to do something that they really love doing, and that's taking deeper shots down the field, especially with Nico Collins back for the last couple of games. That's what they want to do, and Joe Mixon is a big reason why when they're successful, they're able to do that. He's the music, he's the alcohol.
I love it. And then you talk about Nico Collins. 12's out there, like Drewski said. 90 plus yards last week against Tennessee,
He's back.
119 yards against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Man, he's continuing to build his case as one of the best young wide receivers in this NFL. And in the second half, you saw when CJ Stroud got out of the pocket when he needed a big play, he went to number 12. And just the fact that this all came in the second half, John, is what gets us all excited because we haven't seen this all year, right? The graphic that they put up, we're averaging 7.6 points in quarters 3 and 4 and have 6 games with no touchdowns. The fact that you did this, and I understand it's Jacksonville, it's just like you said, build some momentum into the bye week. We're giving our hats off to Bobby Slowick on this one.
Absolutely.
You got to, right? If we're able to criticize
Absolutely.
him every single week,
Absolutely.
got to give him his praise.
Gotta do it. Gotta do it. Honestly, I haven't had a problem with Bobby Slowick in the last couple of weeks.
Okay,
I
we're
personally
talking.
haven't. But I think this was a game where Bobby did miss Nico Collins. Like we know CJ missed him,
Mm-hmm.
but Bobby missed him because again, this offense wants to run the ball and they want to take those deep shots down the field. And Nico Collins is the deep shot go getter, right? And so he missed him. He's back, and you just saw the impact of that play calling last week with Nico back. I thought the play calling was good last week. I thought there was moments where you could nitpick him, but overall, I thought that last week's loss, was more so on CJ Stroud, right?
Agree.
Critical moments, critical interceptions that you just can't have, and it's hard to overcome, especially with a struggling offense. You get to Jacksonville, 17 points in the second half, and you saw this offense do a multitude of different things. And what I like, what I really like, and I think this is where Stephon Diggs' arrival hurt Houston. Look at the target share.
Yeah.
Right? Dalton showed 7 targets.
Okay.
Okay. Caught 5 of them for 61 yards in the TD. Nico Collins and what he's able to do. Right? Tank Dell had the targets, didn't necessarily get the catches.
Should have been a PI.
Should have been the PI. And then and that's another thing about CJ Stroud. I think it was an underthrow.
I did too.
From that moment, yeah, PI. But from that moment, seemed like CJ reset himself in the game and got better and better and better. That's kind of been missing from CJ this year.
I'm not sure if you noticed, but after that play, the camera cuts to CJ and Laramie Tunsil was hugging him, giving him a bear hug. Now I don't know if he was giving him some words of encouragement, but moments right there is what I want to see from a veteran, from your left tackle, and maybe right it did catch on throughout the game. It seemed like this Houston Texans team was playing together against Jacksonville. Wanted to bring up Tank Dell, right? Only one catch. However, what we did see him at special teams, and if you're not gonna utilize, Tank Dell in a big way, give him some opportunities on punt return. I think it gives you some more juice than what Robert Woods gives you.
I agree. I'm kind of speechless to see the amount of reps Robert Woods has gotten back there this year. And that's no disrespect to Bobby
No
Trees,
disrespect.
but right now in his career, I think we just can agree that Tank is a more explosive player. And that's something that's in his repertoire coming out of Houston. So kind of been shocked. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's a lack of trust back there. I'm not sure what it is. We've seen Tank have some good returns this year in punt returns, and I think that's where you really can get the more explosive version of them. We just got to see more of it. I do think, Ruben, and you let me know if I'm wrong or how you feel, but I do think a problem with this team this year has been not getting the best and the most out of players, not finding situations to get the best and the most out of players, and just leaning on what you want to do, not necessarily revising your script, sticking to the script. That's what they've been doing a lot, and I think at times you look at a lot of these one-score games. I kind of wonder how many of those one-score games could be flipped if we would have saw the defense in a better position and not having Jalen Petrie and Devontae Adams on a crucial third down, or not having Aziz on a crucial third down on one of the league's best receivers and one of the league's most dangerous slot receivers going up against Detroit and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Just things like that where I'm like, okay, if we could have found a way to put the players in a better situation, maybe we're not looking at 8-5. Maybe we're looking at 10-3 or something along
Yeah.
those lines. And not having Tank Dell back there enough, I think, is one of those that we overlook because this is one of the better special team units in the NFL. Can they get better? Can they be better? And I think that's a conversation that could be had.
No, 100% agree. And then, you realize that DeMeco Ryans is also in his second year as a head coach, and he is growing also. And then we've seen some of, his growing pains this year. You mentioned three of them right there. I think one of them also happened in yesterday's game. His decision not to go for it on
Yeah,
4th and 1, punting the ball away, and then you blinked, looked up, and the score was 23-20, like right there. It looked like Jacksonville had all the momentum. And, shout out to the offense for winning in the game. But I felt like DeMeco really potentially could have hurt the Houston Texans yesterday with that decision.
absolutely. And they went for it early in the game and converted on 4th down. And I think for Houston, man,
And then to win the game, you run on 3rd and 4.
you run on 3rd and 4. Shout out to Joe Mixon.
Shout out to Robert Woods.
Shout out to Robert Woods on the block. I wonder how much of this season is just let's just get to the end of the game. And it's kind of a scary approach, man. This team has not been 100% healthy at one point all year,
At all.
right? You may. How can I put it, man? I do feel at times that they play a little bit scary. They play a lot to
Conservative.
not lose a game instead of to go win the game.
For sure.
And that was a moment yesterday, I thought to myself, go for it. Give this team that swag, man. And we've seen quarterbacks in the past just kind of wave off point unit. Now we're
You see
going for it.
Lamar, screaming upset he doesn't have the ball.
We're going for it. We've seen Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid, the best head coach QB duo in the NFL over the past 5 years. We've seen them argue on the sideline. And Pat Mahomes like, no, we got to get the ball in those situations. So for a second-year quarterback, second-year head coach, second-year offensive coordinator, our expectations may have been a little too high for them because the league mate caught up to them, and they have to learn how to keep building. In those moments of learning how to keep building, you'll learn, you know what? Let's go for it. Let me give my guys the confidence. Let's get it. Let's pick it up. Let me allow them to keep rolling and building off what they're trying to establish. And the Texans have moments this year where it just seems like I'm going to play the safe game, and a safe game won't win you a Super Bowl.
100%. And that's why Detroit Lions fans love Dan Campbell so much, because he's willing to be, as aggressive as he needs to be, to get the W. And I feel like that's something maybe DeMeco Ryans has to grow into. I feel like he is willing to win a game by 1 point, right? That's how much faith he has in his defense. But I would have loved yesterday, right? We would have talked very differently about this Houston Texan offense if he should go out there, get the first down, and that's exactly, what they would have done. It just goes back to we have basically a sophomore coaching staff. And as they get better, as it's crazy that we are here with 8+ wins and your quarterback, your OC, your coach are, having their own growing moments throughout the season, Mr. John. We talk about the Houston Texans defense, and I wanted to ask you this. Mac Jones, 235 yards, 2 tutties. First time he's had this type of production in a very long time.
Yeah.
Are we attributing this to Jacksonville playing with more fire after the big hit from Al-Shaair? Did the Houston Texans defense not really give that much respect to Mac Jones, if that's where they were there in that situation?
I think it's a combination of both. I think,
Facts.
when they lose Aziz, they lose no Aziz and no Jalen Petrie. So you come in the game with no Jalen Petrie, you lose Aziz in the middle of the game, and that forces more snaps for Devin White, who isn't the best in coverage. That forces more snaps for Neville Hewitt, who played well in his relief of Aziz at one point during the year, but he hasn't really played in the last couple of games. Didn't get a lot of snaps, and so now he's playing more. That forces Henry T to play alongside 2 linebackers that he hadn't played around a lot. That forces some things that just plays in the favor of the Jags. And I think the Jags just came out and said, hey, we're not going to let y'all punk us at home, man. We already got beat up enough this season. This is a division game. We got to at least have some fight in us. And the Jags did that. I think they just came out and played some good football. I think Brian Thomas made some plays. Parker Washington made some good plays for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think for the Houston Texans, a priority for them in this offseason, free agency and the draft, is making sure that they get some more safeties in here.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Okudah is a liability out there on the defensive
Every
side
time
of
he's
the
out
ball.
there, man, he's messing up.
He's a liability right now. And that's one thing Cody and I talked about in the offseason. Like, man, okay, we know about Derek Stingley. We're high on Kamari Lassiter. We like the rookie Kalen Bullock.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm an Eric Murray fan now, but I can say that he shouldn't be out there as many snaps as he can.
Sure.
They're short at cornerback. They don't have the depth at cornerback to really compete with a lot. Like when they go up against Miami, you better hope Kamari and Derek Stingley are healthy.
Yeah.
When they go up against Kansas City, you better hope those guys are healthy. Even Baltimore in their wide receiver room. So you better hope those guys are healthy, because do you really want to see Jeff Okudah out there holding Tyreek Hill?
No.
Do you want to see that? Do you want to see Okudah on Waddle?
Dude. Nah. Oh my God.
We don't want to see that. Nobody wants to see that.
Come on back, Steven Nelson.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
My
that
fault.
ain't happening. That ain't happening. But no, I think the Jags just brought the game to them, man.
Yeah.
They played with some passion and fire. And I think the Texans can learn from them a little bit.
No, absolutely. You know, and then I think this was kind of a nice reaction we saw from the Houston Texans. We know how angry you are, but we're going to give you that same energy back the rest of the game, and ended up going out with the dub. Mr. John, the Houston Texans, as we look at it right now, 8-5, first place in the AFC South, 4th-1 in the division. When you look at it, this Houston Texans team is winning games. What can you say about this team as they head into the bye week?
They're a team that's still trying to figure it out. When you lose, there's only been one game this year where the Texans were just absolutely flat out beat. Minnesota.
Yeah.
And that game got away from them early. But how confident did you feel when you watched your defense get 5 interceptions on Jared Goff?
I thought that was going to be the awakening of the Houston Texans.
All right. How confident were you going into halftime against the New York Jets? A struggling team that had a loss, I think, 4 or 5 before their game.
Mm-hmm.
How confident were you last week when you saw Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson just create complete chaos?
Crazy.
So the Texans right now, they've lost a handful of one-score games. Green Bay, right? They are still trying to figure themselves out, what works best for them to win games. And how I feel about them right now is this is a team that is, a year or two away. They're going to look back on this year, because I don't think they're going to make a deep playoff run. They're going to look back on this year and say, man, you know what? We could have been so much better if we would have done this in this moment. And we have film to go back and look at, okay, wow, you know what? Next time, maybe this play works against this defense on this down. They're going to win the division. They're not going to make a deep run. If they do, I'd be happy for the Texans, but I'd be shocked. This was a very good building block type of year. And that's how I feel about them going into the bye week. They were able to build off that Jags game, because when they come back, we're going to see them play a very hungry Miami team. We're going to see them play a Baltimore Raven team that I think has some internal problems, and those internal problems are going to start erupting. But they're going to be going up against a Derrick Henry and a Lamar Jackson that will make their lives hell. Between playing Derrick Henry in Tennessee all those years and Lamar Jackson and how he's played against Houston the last couple of times, just being able to win games. That's a scary duo.
Haven't scored a touchdown against them.
Have not scored a touchdown. And then you got Pat Mahomes. He is still Pat Mahomes.
Winning games. I don't know how.
I can tell you how, but it's going to,
If you say witchcraft, then I agree.
It's some blood sacrificing going on. He is from Texas, so he got some deep rooted witchcraft going on down here that he's sprinkling all over that franchise.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. John, I want to thank you for coming on and spending the last 30 minutes with me. This absolutely means the world. I learned a lot. Can you let our fans know where they can find you and all your latest work?
Absolutely. Well, you can find us on YouTube at Locked On Texans. Please subscribe, like, comment, and if you follow us and subscribe to us from this show, drop it in the comments. Hey, man, I found Joe Mixon 713 podcast. Right, we're going to spread the love and do it the right way. And also follow me on Twitter at John_Hickman12.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, happy Victory Monday. Do me all a favor. Have a real blessed rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching today's episode, and big shout out to John Hickman for joining me today. Go give them a follow on YouTube, Locked On Texans, guys. And do not forget, this episode is brought to you and powered by BetUS. Quick 24-hour payouts, 24-hour customer service. BetUS, ladies and gentlemen, where the game begins.